Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Guest at the Door, which was never showed on TV. One evening, Peppa was left home alone. Mommy and Daddy had gone into town for shopping, and George was sleeping in his crib. The house was quiet, too quiet. Bang, bang, bang. Someone knocked at the door. Peppa flinched. She tiptoed to the door. "Who's there?" "It's me, Peppa. Open up, granddaughter." The voice was familiar but muffled, distant. She opened the door. Standing on the doorstep was Grandpa Pig, soaked, his face pale as if the rain had washed it clean. His clothes were the very ones he was buried in 3 years ago. "Gee, Grandpa," Peppa whispered, "but you're... Don't be afraid, I just came to visit." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. He stepped inside. Water dripped from him onto the floor. "Put the kettle on, granddaughter. I'm cold." But while Peppa was boiling the water, she heard a rasping noise from the living room. He was standing there, changing. His skin was peeling off like soaked fabric. His arms stretched unnaturally. His eyes had turned black. His face had grown long, fish-like. From his mouth came a gurgle. "You forgot me, but I remembered you every single day." Under the water, Peppa screamed and ran to the door, but the lock wouldn't budge. Behind her, Grandpa was no longer Grandpa. He was something else, wet, trembling, with rotting seaweed on his shoulders. He reached out. "Come with me. It's deep and quiet." When her parents returned, the house was empty. Only footprints, wet ones, leading to the bathroom. And on the mirror, something was written. "Granddaughter is with me. Don't miss her." Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Snouts for Breakfast, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One day, Daddy Pig got up before dawn. He wanted to surprise the family, to prepare a perfect breakfast like in the best hotels. He quietly tiptoed to the kitchen, tied on his apron, took out a frying pan and whispered, "Today will be perfect." A little later, Peppa woke up. The room was strangely quiet, as if the world was holding its breath. She stretched, yawned, and suddenly felt something terrible. "My snout!" She ran to George's room. He was sitting in bed, trembling, his face smooth, like a doll's. "Peppa, I can't smell my dinosaur." Mummy Pig came out of the bedroom. Her eyes were full of horror. What is happening?" On the stove, a frying pan was sizzling. Inside it, 4 snouts, pink, crackling, with thin golden brown edges. And next to it stood Daddy Pig. On his face was a brand new snout, pink and carefully sewn on with thick black thread. He smiled. "Breakfast is ready, family." Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Painting in the Basement, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One day, while playing with her toys, Peppa heard a strange sound coming from below. From the basement, creak, scrape, soft tapping. "Probably just the wind," she whispered, but her heart pounded louder. Curiosity overcame fear. Peppa tiptoed down the stairs and, with a trembling hoof, opened the basement door. Darkness, cold. Dust swirled in the air, and in the corner of the room hung a painting. On it was a pig, tall, grimy, eerie, armless. Peppa gasped and ran upstairs. "Mummy, there's... in the basement, an armless pig. He's in a painting." "What painting, Peppa? Come on, show me." They both went down together, but now the painting was empty. "He was there, I swear. Maybe you just..." and then a sound came from behind them. They turned around sharply and saw the same armless pig. But now, he had hundreds of arms. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Peppa Pig's Cursed Christmas, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. On Christmas Eve, Peppa's family was getting ready for the holiday. They decorated the tree, baked cookies, and left treats for Santa. But at night, exactly at 3:33, the clock started ticking backward, and Peppa woke up from a strange chill. George was standing by the window, whispering, "Santa came, but he's different." Something was in the yard, tall in a red cloak, with claws and hollow eyes. It was the spirit of Christmas, to whom Grandpa Pig had promised one perfect holiday in exchange for the family many years ago. Now it had come to collect the debt. Mummy and Daddy vanished, leaving only shadows on the walls. Frost and whispers crept from the fireplace. The spirit opened its sack and said, "You are part of Christmas, forever." By morning, the house was empty. Only the milk and a note stood by the fireplace. "Thank you for a delicious holiday." Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Full Moon in the Forest, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One day, the pig family decided to go on a joint picnic with the wolf family. In the morning, Daddy Pig called his best friend and shared the idea. They immediately agreed, and both families set off for the countryside. "Look at this beautiful forest, the perfect place, fresh air, the scent of the woods," said Daddy Pig. "We're so glad you invited us. It's nice to finally get out into nature," added Mummy Wolf. The men lit a campfire. Mummy Wolf served homemade pastries, and the wolf children played tag. But when the sun disappeared behind the trees, the atmosphere changed. The wind grew sharp. The temperature dropped. Somewhere in the distance, a lonely creature howled. "It's just a fox," said Daddy Wolf, but his eyes glinted with a strange light. "Let's stay the night. We brought tents," suggested Mummy Wolf. "It'll be so fun under the full moon." Mummy Pig hesitated, then nodded. At 12:03 a.m., Peppa woke up to rustling sounds. Peeking through a slit in the tent, she saw the silhouettes of the wolves. They were standing with their backs turned, heads lifted to the sky. Their bodies twitched, stretched, bones cracked. Then came the howl, long, ravenous. Daddy Pig burst out of the tent. "What the—" But he didn't get to finish. A figure lunged from the darkness and sank its teeth into his neck. "Thanks for the dinner and the warm welcome," whispered the head of the wolf family. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Night of Lights, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One day in Peppa Pig's village, they decided to hold a new celebration, the Night of Lights. Mummy Pig explained,
"We'll light lanterns and release them into the sky. It's an ancient tradition to thank those who watch from above."
"Who are they?" asked Peppa.
Mummy smiled. That evening, the whole village gathered on the hill. The children held paper lanterns. On each one, they had to write a wish. Peppa wrote, "I want everything to always be fun." When they released the lanterns into the sky, it suddenly turned inky black. No stars, no moon, just wind. And then, one of the lanterns suddenly stopped in the air. Then it floated downward, but it was no longer paper. It had turned into a face, fiery, with empty eyes. One by one, the lanterns began falling back down, turning into flaming heads. "You called us," they whispered. "Now everything will be fun. Forever." The light vanished. People started screaming. No one could escape. Figures of flame and ash touched everyone. By morning, the village was empty. Scattered across the ground were hundreds of paper lanterns, and each one had the same message written on it. "I want everything to always be fun." Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Cursed Television, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One cold, deep night, Peppa woke up to the sound of static. It sounded like the television. "But I turned it off before bed," Peppa thought. She left her room. The screen was flickering, and in it she saw her own reflection, but with empty eyes. "Peppa, come closer. Look." A hand stretched out from the screen, dark, trembling with long nails. It grabbed Peppa by the leg and started to pull her in. Peppa screamed. Mummy Pig woke up from the noise. She rushed in and unplugged the television. The next morning, Daddy Pig said, "It must have been a glitch last night. Everything's fine now." Turn the TV back on. On the screen was Peppa. She was staring at them with hollow eyes and whispered, "Why didn't you help me?" Since then, the pig family moved to a new house, and legend has it that the old television still glows. And at night you can hear the screams, "Why didn't you help me?" Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Don't Step in the Puddle, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Peppa once loved jumping in muddy puddles. It was her favorite thing to do. But one day, everything changed. In an episode no one ever saw on TV, it was pouring rain. Peppa woke up alone. George was gone, and so were her parents. Outside, everything was flooded. The yard was drowning in strange purple puddles, deeper than usual, far too deep. Peppa stepped outside, let out a happy snort, and jumped into the first puddle. But instead of a cheerful splash, there was a dull, sucking sound. The puddle pulled her body down deeper. Hee, that's not funny," Peppa said. "Let go." But the puddle only pulled harder. Suddenly, a face rose from the water. It looked like hers, but with no eyes and a stretched mouth. It spoke. "One jump, and you stay forever." Shadows began rising from the puddle. First Daddy, then George. "Jump with us, Peppa. We're family." The puddle dragged her even deeper, and then she began to change into a monster. The last thing she saw was the sky. Since then, in every episode, if you look closely at the puddles, you can see a face. And if a child stares at the screen too long, tiny reflections appear in their eyes too. Small, wet, and calling them to jump. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Voices on the Walkie-Talkie, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Daddy Pig gave Peppa and George walkie-talkies so they could talk to each other while playing hide-and-seek. "Just don't use them at night," Mummy Pig said sternly. "Walkie-talkies can pick up strange signals." Everything was fun until one evening, right before bed, Peppa turned on her walkie-talkie. Suddenly, a strange, crackling voice came through the speaker. "P-E-E, Pa, you're not alone." "George, is that you?" Peppa asked. Silence. Then again, "I'm hiding. In the closet. Find me." Peppa walked over to the closet and slowly opened the door. It was empty. "Very funny, George," she muttered. But the second walkie-talkie was still lying next to George's bed. He was sound asleep. The next morning, the voice came through the walkie-talkie again. "Found one. Now you." George was gone. That night, the static returned. "Only you left. I'm coming."